Hello everyone, it's Teacher Joel of Your English Mind, and thanks for stopping by class today. In today's class, we are going to focus on looking at the small but important differences between certain words in English. Now, a lot of words in English have very similar meanings, but we don't always use them in the same situation because there's a small difference between them, okay? And that's what we're gonna focus on in today's class. Now, the words that we're gonna look at are citizen and resident, CEO and owner, affect and effect, donate, give, and lend, and finally, ability and skill. So we've got a lot of work to do today, so let's go ahead and let's get started. All right, let's look at the difference between the word citizen and resident. Let's focus on citizen first. A citizen is someone who holds a passport from that country. A passport is a small book that you apply for from your government, and that book allows you to travel to other countries. It's required. You cannot just simply enter another country without a passport. That is not allowed. And only citizens are able to get a passport, okay? Citizens are allowed to vote. So I live in Taiwan. I'm a permanent resident in Taiwan, but I'm not a citizen. So unfortunately, I'm not allowed to vote in any elections. Residents or permanent residents can vote. Only citizens can. And you can be a dual citizen. A dual citizen is someone who has a citizenship with two or more countries. This is very common. For example, I have a Canadian citizenship, but my mother's American. I also have an American citizenship. I have two, so I'm a dual citizen. I'm a citizen of two countries. And finally, a citizen legally belongs to that country. So if anything were to happen to me in Taiwan, the Canadian government would be responsible for my safety and security because legally I belong to the country of Canada, okay? Now, let's take a look at what a resident is. Now, a resident holds a visa and are legally allowed to live, work, and study in a certain city. So I said earlier, I'm a permanent resident in Taiwan. I've been living in Taiwan for almost 9 years. I'm a resident here. I'm not a citizen. So I live here and I work here and I'm allowed to legally, okay? But I'm not allowed to vote. So residents and permanent residents, as I said earlier, we are not allowed to vote, okay? And as a resident, you have access to local services, but the government is not responsible for you. So as I was saying just a minute ago, even though I'm living in Taiwan, working in Taiwan, the Taiwanese government is not responsible for me. The Canadian government is. So if there's any emergency or anything happens, the Canadian government is responsible for taking care of me, okay? So that's the difference between a citizen and a resident. Okay, now let's take a look at what the difference is between a CEO and an owner. Now, CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer, so CEO. Now, what is the difference between these two? I still see students confuse these two. They're like, teacher, is the CEO the owner of a company? No, they are not. I'm going to explain why. The CEO is the head of a public company. Head is just another word for leader or the top of something. So a CEO is the head of a public company. Now, a public company is a company that raises their money by selling stocks. Maybe some of you have stocks. You can buy stock in a company, and hopefully in the future it increases in value and you make money. So a public company is one that sells stocks to raise capital. Capital is money that the company uses to build new factories, hire new employees, do marketing, lots of things like that, okay? Now, a CEO has limited power. A CEO is a very powerful person, but he or she has limited power. They cannot do everything that they want to, okay? And I'm going to explain why in just a minute. Now, a CEO can be fired. If the company is not performing well, then maybe, the board of directors, who is a group of, could be 6 people, 10 people, 12 people. Different companies have, a different number on their board of directors. But if the board of directors is unhappy with the CEO's performance, they could actually decide to fire the CEO and replace them with someone else, okay? So when we compare a CEO simply to the owner of a business, well, an owner is the head of a private company. That could be a big company, or it could be something as small as Joel's Hamburger Shop, okay? I'm the owner. It's all me, all right? Now, the owner of a private company has unlimited power. I can do anything I want. I can run my business any way I want to. If I want to have the uniforms to be green and yellow, then that's my decision. So the uniforms are going to be green and yellow. Now, an owner can't be fired. If it's Joel's Hamburger Shop, I can't fire myself. No one's gonna fire me, okay? It's my business. I can do what I want. Now, earlier we talked about a CEO. A CEO can be fired, okay? And finally, an owner answers to no one. It's the owner's business. They can choose what they want to do. A CEO can. They have to answer to a board of directors. That's why they have limited power. So a CEO and an owner are very similar in many ways, but remember, the key difference is the CEO is the head of a public company and the owner is the head of a private company. And a CEO has limited power and the owner of a private company has limitless power. They can do whatever they want. Okay, let's take a look at the difference between affect and effect. A lot of students make this mistake, get very, very mixed up with this, okay? Let's start with affect first. Now, affect is a verb. A verb, of course, is an action word. Now, affect means to produce a certain effect on someone or something. So look at it like this. Affect is the reason why something is happening or the reason why something is having that effect, okay? So let's take a look at how we could use this in a sentence. People are worried that social media will negatively affect the way we communicate. So in this sentence here, affect is obviously used as a verb. So negatively is an adverb and affect, of course, is a verb. So when we look at this sentence, well, what does this mean? People are worried about the influence or impact that social media is going to have on the way that people communicate. They think it's going to be a bad thing, okay? Now, when we look at the word effect, effect is a noun, okay? And An effect is the change that happens as a result of something. So when we take a look at this sentence here, people are worried about the negative effect social media will have on the way we communicate. So when we look at both of these sentences here, they mean exactly the same thing, but we're using affect and effect. This is a verb and this is a noun, but both are still communicating the same idea. You know, the idea that social media is going to have a negative impact on the way we communicate. So a really simple trick to remember the difference between affect and effect. Affect is a verb and it causes something to change. Effect is a noun and it's the result of that affected change. Okay, let's take a look at the difference between the words donate, give, and lend. Let's start with donate first. Now, when you donate something, it means you give something of value to help someone or something. Common things that people donate are money, their time, their knowledge, or blood. You know, lots of people donate blood. So all of these things have value and they are donated to help out other people in need. Now, when you donate something, it does not need to be returned or paid back. The reason you donate something is to help someone or something. You don't expect to have that returned in the future. You're doing it, you're donating it because you want to help, okay? You have a good heart. You are not expecting to get anything in return in the future. So, you know, when we talk about donate, usually we're talking about charities. Charities are organizations that help people in need. So, for example, Greenpeace or the Red Cross. These are examples of charities that people might donate to, okay? Because they want to help the environment. That's what Greenpeace does. Or, you know, help people who have been in a natural disaster, such as an earthquake. That's what the Red Cross does, okay? Now, let's take a look at the word give. Now, give means to transfer something between two or more people. Can you give me that pen? Can you give me a ride? Can you give me a few bucks? I forgot my wallet at home, okay? So to give is, you know, just the transfer of something between two people. Now, when you give, it does not need to be paid back or returned like donate. So that's why it's important to understand when someone gives you something. I always make sure, hey, are you giving this to me? Because I want to make sure that I don't need to return it to them in the future, okay? So when you give somebody something, again, like donate, it doesn't need to be returned in the future. Now, you know, who are some people you might give to? Well, you know, you might give something to your friends, or, you know, you might give it to your family. So, you know, let's say I'm buying a new cell phone and, you know, I don't really want this anymore. It still works, but I'm not going to use it. I might give it to my friend. Like, it's yours. You can have it. I don't want anything back. It's free. We're good friends. Okay. So that's an example of, you know, who we might give something to. And finally, let's take a look at the word lend. Okay. Now, lend means to transfer something between two or more people, much like give. A lot of times when we lend something, we're talking about lending money, okay? Banks lend money to people to, you know, buy a house or open up a business, something like that, all right? So when you lend, it does need to be paid back or returned, all right? So that's the difference, like donate and give, it doesn't need to be returned. But when you lend something, it does need to be paid back. It does need to be returned. So let's say my friend's computer breaks and I have an extra laptop that I don't use anymore. I'm going to lend it to him, but in the future, I expect him to return that to me at some point. So that's the difference between donate, give, and lend. When you lend somebody something, it's expected that they're going to return it in the future at some point. And you know, who would lend? Like I talked earlier, banks. So banks lend money, you know, like I said, to buy a house or to open up a business. Your family might lend you money, okay? Or friends might lend you money, or, you know, like I said, a computer or something you need, like a lawnmower, or, you know, something like that that you need, okay? So that's the difference between donate, give, and lend. All right, and let's close this class by taking a look at the difference between ability and skill. This is another one that confuses a lot of students because they are very, very similar, but there is one key difference. Let's start with ability first. Well, ability is a noun. Now, an ability is a natural talent for doing something. Okay, so if you have the ability to do something, it means that, you know, it requires little or no practice to be good at it. Some people can just sing well naturally. Some people can just play soccer well naturally. Some people can just play video games well naturally. They just see it, they hear it, they listen to it, and they're able to figure out very quickly how to do it well. So an ability is a very natural talent that, you know, a lot of people think they already have, okay? Now, when we look at a skill is also a noun, but a skill is a learned talent for doing something. So that's the big difference between an ability and a skill. So an ability is a natural talent and a skill is a learned talent, okay? And what does that mean? Well, a learned talent is it requires time and practice to be good at it. Now, just because you're bad at something doesn't mean you have to be bad at it forever. If you practice, learn, work hard, put in a lot of effort, in the future, you can become very, very talented and very, very good at that. So that's the difference between skill and ability. It's very simple. An ability is a natural talent and a skill is a learned talent. I just want to quickly focus on this word here, talent. Talent is a noun and it means to be very, very good, or the ability to be very, very good at something. And you can acquire talent through natural abilities or through learning it and practicing it over a period of time. Okay guys, so I hope this lesson was very, very helpful. I'm gonna link a description to the notes for today's class. I hope that you're downloading these lesson plans. They're very beneficial. All the things that I talk about in class, I've got it in a PDF linked in the description below, okay? So, thanks for stopping by class today, and I hope to see you again real soon. Hello everyone, it's Teacher Joel of Your English Mind, and I just wanted to say thanks for stopping by class today. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the Your English Mind YouTube channel and click on the notifications bell to make sure that you're getting updates on all the new English videos we are producing. Also, add us on Instagram and Facebook, where we're posting new English content all the time to help you build your English skills. You did an excellent job in today's class, and I'm very proud of you. I hope to see you in class again real soon.